kalau kita ambil ayam hidup, harganya pun akan naik. Kita pun terpaksa naikkan ikut diorang punya harga juga.
Semenjak harga beras naik, kita terpaksa naikkan sedikit. Sebelum ni nasi putih kita boleh dapat RM1 atau RM1.50. Sekarang kita terpaksa naikkan satu bungkus dia RM2. Ada setengah pelanggan yang merungut sebab tak ada kenaikan gaji kan. Tapi nak tak nak setiap hari kena makan kan.
Good afternoon and salam berwarna. Today my friends and I will discuss about cost push inflation. But first, let me share with you the definition of inflation. What is inflation? Inflation is the increases in price of goods over a period of time. In Malaysia, we have two types of inflation, which is cost push inflation and demand push inflation. But for today, my friends and I will focus on cost push inflation. Okay, what is cost push inflation? Cost push inflation is the situation where the price of goods increases due to increase in price of inputs. For example, increases in wages of labor and increases in raw materials. In 2021, cost push inflation will occur due to pandemic COVID-19. At that time, firms and sellers were facing higher production costs due to restoration of the supplier. Okay, let me share with you the graph of cost push inflation. Cost push inflation will occur when short-run aggregate supply will shifted to the left from SRAS 0 to SRAS 1. This will lead to increases in level of price.
Assalamualaikum and hi everyone. There is a few factors that cause the cost push inflation. Today, I will talk about two factors that cause cost push inflation. The first factor is increasing in raw material cost. This is because it can influence the cost for the firm. When the cost for raw material is increasing, the firm also will increase the price to cover the cost for the product. This will make cost push inflation occur. The second factor is increasing in wages. When the wages is increasing, it will increase the cost for the firm in production, and they will increase the product price to fulfill the increases in wages. These two factors is a production cost that able to occur cost push inflation. That's all from me. Thank you.
Assalamualaikum and hi, my name is Saidatul Shika Budi Sensar, matrix number 301054. As we know, cost push inflation happen because of rise in cost of production, such as labor cost and raw material cost. But have you ever thought that this kind of inflation, which is cost push inflation, not just affect for producer but also the student, especially for the university student? Now, one of the university in Malaysia, which is UUM. Here with me is one of the University Utara Malaysia student. Can you introduce yourself?
Hello, my name is Normiana Chakonda Plata and I'm a student from Bachelor of Public Management.
In your opinion, refer to the cost push inflation, what kind of impact that university students face during this cost push inflation?
I think, of course, students face the impact of this inflation because the price of all goods in Unimart is already up. For example, instant noodle now is RM6.90, while back then it is only RM5.
Here with me is another University Utara Malaysia student. Please introduce yourself.
My name is Nur Yasmin binti Kamaluddin.
What your hope to the government about this cost push inflation?
I hope government will do something about this cost push inflation because average university student is from B40 and only survive with their scholarship money.
We also do some survey to Google Form among UUM students and staff to know about the impact in cost push inflation, and surprisingly, we receive a lot of complaints from university students and staff about the increase in price of goods because of rise in production costs. Such as back then with RM1 we can only buy 2 eggs because it only 50 cents, but now we just can only 1 egg with RM1 because the price is up to 70 cents. That's all from me. Back to our friend in studio.
Statistics shows the overall inflation occur in Malaysia from year to year. The inflation is measured using Consumer Price Index or CPI because it reflects changes to a consumer's cost of living. Malaysia's inflation rate in 2023 is estimated between the range of 2.8% and 3.3%, compared with the 3.3% estimated for 2022. It seems that inflation is being decreased. This source is cited from the Ministry of Finance in its 2023 Economic Outlook report. Inflation mostly happens because rising in food prices, mainly due to supply chain disruptions following the Russia-Ukraine conflict, have affected Malaysians, particularly low-income groups. When cost-push inflation occurs, demand becomes inelastic. It is whereby people still buy the goods or services even the price goes up. This cost-push inflation have affected various sectors in the economy, especially consumers and producers. First of all, it can decrease purchasing power of consumer because the price of goods and services increase as inflation rate increase. Consumers need to spend more money in almost everything to maintain their living standards. We can notice it when the same amount of money now can buy fewer goods and services than before. Other than that, inflation also decreased the profit margin of a business. This is because business sell products at higher price due to the increase in production costs. As a result, consumers can't afford those expensive goods with their low income. Therefore, business cannot generate more sales and indirectly lower their profit margins. This problem can also lead to an increase in unemployment rate. In order to remain in the industry, business will try to reduce the cost of production by decreasing the production levels, automatically leading to layoff of employees.
There are two ways to prevent cost-push inflation. Firstly, wage control. Government policy can control the income received by household so that it is not too high. The maximum wage policy should be enforced. This policy set the highest wage rate that an employer can pay. This means that the wage rate cannot exceed the maximum wage rate. This causes the cost of production to be less than the increase in labor productivity, and inflation can be controlled. Secondly, price control. When the price in the market is too high, the government will implement a maximum price policy. This policy sets the price lower than the equilibrium price. Through this policy, the market price cannot exceed the price policy set by the government. This causes general price to decrease and inflation to be overcome. In conclusion, cost-push inflation can negatively impact an economy by causing consumer price to rise, reduce purchasing power, and potentially creating economic imbalance. Policymakers often face challenge in addressing this type of inflation, requiring them to devise strategies that relieve cost pressures while maintaining economic stability and growth.